have to keep forcing myself to fucking continue because I'm just not going to otherwise. So we need to continue onwards with the testimony. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear about the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of 31st October. Present your formal testimony now.
As you wish, my lord.
Oh my god, okay. Awesome. We're doing fine.
It's true that Kazuma Asogi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. However, in the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. If there'd been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it, so clearly I can't be involved.
So you admit it then, as this communication suggests, there really was an assassin exchange arrangement between Britain and Japan.
A political endeavor at the highest levels, not something I can discuss here.
To use such a worthy practice as foreign study to coerce somebody to commit murder. It's the most appalling thing I've ever heard.
Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge.
Pardon?
Asogi had a reason for taking his sword to that British inspector, you know.
What?
Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Council?
Seems like I was so right about everything so far.
Kazuma-sama?
Judge Jigoku, if you are the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain.
I'm not obliged to divulge that information,
Because it's fucking Strongheart. As I said yesterday, I've killed nobody. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange the defense has identified is unrelated to the events of this case.
The crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk. Because if he'd been shot in the cabin, it's inconceivable that a member of the crew wouldn't have heard it.
That's right. Gregson was killed after returning to London, in the room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Beric Van Zeeks. The prosecution's accusation remains unchanged.
To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such Machiavellian dealings. Clearly it's a plot only a government minister and high-ranking judge such as the witness could hope to execute. I have no idea who the British counterpart could be. A high-ranking government official and judge. No clue who that could be. Well, I seem to recall that it was someone on the British side who controlled everything. Be that as it may, it's not the place of this court to pursue the villainous assassin exchange plot. I have no idea what we're talking about. We're only concerned with the tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson. Is the defense clear on that point, Counsel?
This is so fucking stupid. Yes, my lord. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. Oh my god, this is fucking hilarious. This is actually kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. So, on statement 4, I need to present the evacuation itinerary. Yes, as the court has heard, there was a crewman posted outside Judge Jigoku's cabin. Oh, hold on. I need to actually examine this real quick. I need to do a couple things. So this is the crown. For a pocket watch. And then, if we go all the way back to this, we'll see that it's missing the crown. Which I'm skipping past the bullshit for that one. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna... Okay. I know what to do from here. I know what to do. So... Now that we've done that, we're all set in place. However, we can be sure that, contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. What? I have here a notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place aboard the steamship on the 31st.
What? Where did you get that?
It's evidence gathered by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. You were acquainted yesterday, if you remember.
Herlock Sholmes again.
According to this itinerary, after leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 p.m., and for a period of 20 minutes, all crewmen of the SS Grouse were to gather on deck for an evacuation drill. All crewmen were away from their posts, and during that 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Shikoku, you had ample opportunity to commit the crime.
Ugh.
Objection!
A 20-minute window of opportunity. That's an excellent find, Ryunosuke. But it amounts to nothing. Why? Because the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin. So you have to take his word for it. Unless you have some decisive evidence that can show his testimony to be false, your accusation is nothing more than conjecture.
Very true. Well, counsel?
Inspector Gregson was killed in Judge Jigoku's cabin that night. I'm certain of it. Because the defense has the evidence to prove it.
You will present the evidence for the defense at once, counsel.
Wait, what did he say? You will present the evidence for the defense at once, counsel. Okay, wow, that's what he said. We need to present the small component. Judge Jigoku, this was found in your cabin yesterday.
What is that? The crown of a pocket watch? A pocket watch?
And if you will observe the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, is missing precisely that part.
It can't be.
Moreover, this crown is a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's watch. Now, the fact that this was retrieved from Judge Jigoku's cabin tells us that the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill, in the cabin occupied by you, Judge Jigoku!
Well, you're razor sharp, aren't you, you young murderer?
Objection!
Expertly maneuvered, Ryunosuke. And your argument sounds entirely plausible, at first. But rather like this pocket watch, it's full of cracks. What? And I believe Judge Jigoku feels the same way.
I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year.
Sorry?
If I'd known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty just to spare the world of your ridiculous bombast. I think it's clear that the witness will have to give further testimony. When you hear what actually happened in my cabin that night, you'll notice the pitfall into which you've stumbled. Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume? Yes, I do. Very well then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony about what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of the 31st October. Of course. As a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice.
Okay. We're making progress.
I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. I soon took care of him with an ippon soi throw, though he couldn't wait to run away after that. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with this murder. The inspector was clearly killed having returned to Britain because his body was found in London.
How the fuck would you even know that? But whatever.
Ippon soi? A common jiu-jitsu martial arts technique in my country. I was careful not to use too much force, but the man obviously landed too heavily for his watch to take.
So, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I imagine you can see the flaw in your logic now, can't you? What? The fact that the pocket watch was broken in the witness's cabin in no way proves that the victim's murder took place there. Can put my watch back. Ah!
I've no doubt the inspector intended to kill me, but he didn't manage to pull the trigger.
Yes, because he was merely the tactician. Now the Reaper's the hand, not the Reaper's hand of death.
Well, the testimony appears to make perfect sense as far as I can tell. Let me express my deep gratitude for your understanding, my lord.
But if this testimony holds, Judge Jigoku will be deemed to have no involvement in the case.
Well, counsel, I really see no reason for wasting precious court time here on a cross-examination.
Sorry, my lord. The defense has a right to cross-examine, and I don't intend to squander that.
You're an embarrassment to your countrymen, not knowing when you're beaten. In that case, proceed, Mr. Naruhodo!
Here we go. Here we go. This is it. Let's fuck this guy up. God, there's like fucking water. Like I spilled here, and it's like not drying at all. It's too cold in here. So on statement 5.
Hold it!
Press it. But there's no evidence that proves the victim ever returned to London alive.
Just take a moment to think that idea of yours through now, stripling.
What?
If the inspector was killed on the steamship in France, how on earth could he have got back to Britain? When people die, their bodies remain at the same spot. It's a devil of a thing.
Well, then obviously the culprit must have moved the body.
How exactly? Carrying a corpse off a ship in your arms would raise a few eyebrows at least, don't you think?
Well, yes, that's true, but
All passenger luggage is inspected when it is unloaded from arriving vessels, and I would like to think that the border police would query the corpse of an English gentleman as hand luggage.
if the murder had taken place aboard the ship, you would imagine the body would have been disposed of at sea. There would be no sense in risking being caught by attempting to transport the body back to Britain. That's killed the idea then.
But perhaps not.
Miss Usato?
We've heard that the first-class passengers were under constant scrutiny by the crewmen posted to guard them, which would mean that the culprit had no opportunity to dispose of the body in the sea.
Yes, that's true. So the transporting the body to Britain may have been the only option.
Dear me, you really are new to this, aren't you? I thought I'd been perfectly clear, but it seems I'm going to have to explain it in words you can understand. I think I ought to alter my testimony with your consent, of course, my lord. I have no objection. State your amended testimony now.
Okay, so then I present the commemorative photograph. Really?
Objection!
There's no possible way you could have moved Inspector Gregson's body, you say? I would say the opposite is true.
And what's that supposed to mean?
Far from being impossible for you to do. The transporting of Inspector Gregson's body back to Britain is something only you could do! What are you talking about, Ryunosuke? As well as being a judge, Mr. Jigoku is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs, which means he's exempt from having his luggage searched when he enters the country. We learned that when we first met you upon your arrival in London.
Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? Oh, I knew you were jealous.
It's crazy. I presume you recall this, Judge Jigoku? It's a photograph we took in the foyer of the hotel to mark the occasion. As the court will note, you have with you your large travel trunk. Large enough, in fact, to have a corpse inside.
Mr. Naruhodo, surely you're not suggesting...
I'm afraid I am, yes. 3 days ago, when we were chatting innocently with the new arrivals from Japan in the hotel, the body of Inspector Gregson was just meters away from us inside Judge Jigoku's trunk. Oh shit, that's actually kind of insane.
Order! Order! Order in the court! I'm skeptical, counsel, that a grown man's body could fit inside even the largest travel trunk.
It could. Because I happen to know that the witness himself, a man of considerable size, fits inside his trunk. And verifying that would be extremely simple, wouldn't it, Judge Jigoku?
But inside his trunk? How horrifying!
And after we'd spoken with you at the Great Waterloo Hotel, you had the opportunity to visit the apparent scene on Fresno Street, taking your trunk with you in a cab to deposit the inspector's body.
I don't have to listen to this nonsense!
Dr. Gori, the coroner who examined the body, has confirmed the possibility. She's acknowledged that there are signs that steps may have been taken to disguise the true time of death. The onset of the body's decomposition could have been delayed by storing it in a refrigerator.
Counsel, as I remember explaining yesterday, refrigerators of the requisite size are few and far between.
Yes, I'm sure they are, but one place they're certainly found is on large ocean liners. Such ships are equipped with electrically refrigerated cold rooms to keep food fresh on their long sea voyages, and the SS Grouse is no exception. Professor Mikotoba told me about it only yesterday. Well, Judge Jigoku? However much you prolong this debate, you can't eliminate the truth! All the evidence points to you being the killer!
Well, this is all very heartening. I can see that it was a wise move letting Asogi and you embark on this study tour.
What are you talking about now?
Logical reasoning, of course. All court proceedings will be built on logical reasoning in the new century. And I can see that you've both laid firm foundations for that already.
Judge Jigoku, please stop diverting attention from the issue at hand. The defense has made an accusation against you. How do you respond?
Respond? There's really no need for me to respond, is there?
Why ever not?
Because before you can even begin to answer the question of when the victim was killed, you must first establish one key fact. Where was the victim killed? It's quite logical.
The actual scene of the crime. The prosecution's stance is unaltered. The killing took place on Fresno Street when the gunshot was heard. As the accused, Barrick Van Zeek shot the victim at point-blank range.
Since no tangible evidence exists to disprove the prosecution's claim at the time, the defense's deductions amount to little more than an elaborate fairy tale. I'm afraid that's how the logical reasoning the British are known for really works, young stripling.
The victim was shot in that little room on Fresno Street and died instantly? I'm afraid it's the prosecution's claim that's the only fairy tale here. How can you say that? Quite simply, because the claim directly contradicts a certain piece of evidence in our possession.
Very tantalizing, counsel! I think you'd better explain yourself to the court, don't you?
The prosecution claims that Inspector Gregson died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. But this evidence clearly contradicts that claim. So I'm supposed to do a photograph of the victim.
Take that!
A photograph of the victim in the very location you claim he wasn't killed?
Yes, but the point is the posture of the body itself. If Inspector Gregson had been shot there in that room, it's out of the question his body would have been curled up in a ball like that.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but your logic is flawed. He could easily have adopted that fetal position due to the pain of the shot, which subsequently proved fatal.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Judge Jigoku, but it's your logic that's flawed.
What?
According to this autopsy report, the victim died instantly. He would have felt no pain, much less been able to draw himself into that position.
Ugh.
Which begs the question of why the victim's body is curled up in that way. Though the answer should be abundantly clear by now.
You're suggesting?
The inspector's body took on that posture ahead of its arrival on Fresno Street, before it was coldly turned out on the floor from the inside of a large travel trunk. No!
You're quite right. The shape of the body looks exactly as if it had been kept in a confined space.
Judge Shikoku, present your trunk for examination. I believe it's very possible that it will contain traces of the victim's blood.
Ah! Present my trunk! I refuse!
What? On what grounds?
I'm the Minister of Foreign Affairs from the Empire of Japan! I shouldn't have to put up with this treatment just because of some stripling's baseless accusations!
In other words, Judge Shikoku, there's blood in your trunk.
I decline to answer that! As the Minister of...
Objection! At this moment, you're not a government minister. You are a witness in a trial in Britain's highest court. I don't care who you are, what your status outside this courtroom might be. You will not withhold information! Nothing is more important than the truth!
Ah!
Order! Order in this court! Well, Mr. Jikoku, what's it to be? You can't be serious. You did it!
Have you no shame at all, Kazuma Asogi?
What?
Very well, I admit it. I did bring the inspector's body back into the country. Inside my trunk, exactly as postulated by the defense.
You...
Dear God! Outrageous!
So it was you! You admit to Inspector...
No! I admit to nothing more than what I've said! Of killing the man, I certainly have no recollection!
What on earth is that cryptic statement supposed to mean?
I merely disposed of the inspector's body, which was left in my cabin, in order to avoid unwanted attention. As the judicial assistant over there pointed out, I had no chance to throw it into the ocean. So, I decided my only option was to bring it into Britain with me and dispose of it somewhere else.
You can't still deny it! If you didn't do it, then who on earth did kill the man?
As you know, there was only one other person in my cabin that night. He had the opportunity. And moreover, he's already accepted a mission to take the inspector's life.
Oh,
That's right! Who else could have done it? It was you, Kazuma Asogi!
You... I never thought you'd stoop to this, Seishiro Chikoku!
You've taken the words straight out of my mouth, Prosecutor Kazuma Asogi. You thought by leaving the body in my cabin you could pin the crime on me, did you?
Well, the prosecution counsel has already admitted to visiting the witness's cabin on the night in question.
Yes, on an assassination mission no less.
You wouldn't!
So, what do you make of that, young stripling? You've heard my testimony now, and that's all I have to say on the matter. I'll admit to nothing more.
I don't believe this.
Counsel for the defense! What is your position now? The court awaits your response to the witness's assertion. The assertion that on the night in question, the victim's assailant was in fact Mr. Kazuma Asogi. This isn't the deadhead it seems to be. The answer's right in front of me. It comes down to Jikoku or Kazuma. Both of them had the opportunity to kill Gregson, but only one of them did it. Now I'm just a step away from proving who. Very well. The defense is ready to respond to the assertion put forward by Judge Jikoku. The idea that the victim's murder could have been committed by Prosecutor Asogi is impossible. Judge Jikoku, let me remind you of something you said only a few minutes ago. You claimed that the logical reasoning is the future of the judicial process.
It is, no question.
Well, logical reasoning can prove something here. Namely, that it would have been impossible for Prosecutor Asogi to commit the crime.
What?
The court will only accept an argument that is supported by compelling evidence. So present what you have, counsel. So apparently the proof is the fucking evacuation drill?
Take that!
This itinerary is for crew members of the SS Grouse, my lord. This is conclusive proof.
An itinerary? How does that prove anything?
Judge Jigoku, the moment you acknowledge that you found the victim's body in your cabin, this itinerary suddenly became much more significant.
What? Why?
On the night in question, as always, a crewman sentry was on guard outside your cabin door. As long as he was there, nobody could have fired a shot inside the cabin. Absolutely, because it's inconceivable that the guard wouldn't have heard it and come to investigate. So that tells us that the crime must have taken place when the guard was elsewhere. And that narrows it down to the 20 minutes just after 10 o'clock, as indicated on the itinerary.
Yes, I see no flaw in your reasoning so far.
But the crucial point is, when the evacuation drill took place, the steamship had already been put to sea from the port of Dunkirk.
Oh.
Now, clearly the murder could have only been committed by someone who was aboard the vessel at the time. But Prosecutor Asogi stated yesterday... But Prosecutor Asogi stated in yesterday's proceedings... Jesus. I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life, so I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night in a boarding house in town and returned to England the following morning. Which I'm sure the court will agree is conclusive proof that Kazuma Asogi couldn't possibly have carried out the killing!
No! Absolutely not! I don't accept that at all!
What do you mean?
The boy's just saying that to exonerate himself! We can't trust that he really disembarked the vessel! Obviously, after he left my cabin, he hid himself somewhere nearby on the ship! Just waiting for his chance.
Objection. No, that's out of the question, isn't it, Kazuma? As the defense rightly recalls, I disembarked the vessel and spent the night in a boarding house in Dunkirk. And as I said yesterday, I signed my name in the accommodations register book. All extremely easy to verify. There's no escape this time! You can forget that you're a judge or a government minister! It's time you gave the court an honest answer as a common man! You killed Inspector Tobias Gregson and transported his corpse back to Britain! Then you dumped the body in the room on Fresno Street and made it look as if the murder had happened there! That's what really happened, isn't it? Seishiro Jigoku!
It was that damn trial 10 years ago. That's when all this began.
Shit.
Looking back now, my fate was decided that day. I was doomed already. Ah!
Oh my fucking god.
It's over! My life is over!
A British assassin to eliminate a professor in Japan. A Japanese assassin to eliminate a detective in Britain. Both assassins will use diplomatic immunity to evade conviction and return safely to their homelands.
The assassin exchange request arrived from Britain about 1 year ago. Though it was hardly a request, it was a demand.
And for that, you decided to recruit Mr. Asogi. But things didn't go according to plan. Your chosen assassin never made it to Britain, and you found yourself unable to dispatch a replacement. Because I was already on my way to Britain at the time in Kazuma's place.
And that left me with only one option for carrying out my obligation. To eliminate the mark myself, personally. Of course, there was but a single opportunity for me to do that.
The International Forensic Science Symposium, I presume?
That's right. I decided it would be safest to carry out the plan before my arrival in Britain, so I enlisted the help of my British counterpart, and made arrangements for a pretext that would take the inspector to Dunkirk. To lure the man in, he was given a sham mission by the Reaper.
What? The Reaper? But there's only one person who could have done that. The mastermind of the entire operation, the Reaper himself. Ugh.
So that means the assassin exchange was... It was all planned by the Reaper.
I'm not at liberty to say anything about my British counterpart. Anyway, the inspector accepted the Reaper's mission and dutifully infiltrated my cabin on the steamship. But it was all a trap designed to lead him to France, and his own death.
Oh, how awful.
It was past 9 o'clock when I returned to my cabin from the dining hall that evening. I didn't give him time to attack me. I choked him until he lost consciousness. But there was a guard just outside the door, so I left it at that for the time being. Even the slightest noise might have aroused suspicion, so I bided my time, waiting.
For the 20 minutes after 10 o'clock.
I'd intended to finish him by strangulation, but moments before I had the chance, he suddenly came round and went for me in a reckless move. I'd received the British issue gun 16 years earlier, being a member of the judiciary as a visiting student. I never imagined I'd have to use it for something like that.
So the revolver belongs to you, does it? Oh. Then the victim was killed inside your cabin on the SS Grouse. Which begs the question of why you arranged for his body to be discovered in the room on Fresno Street.
The young judicial assistant over there has already answered that question. There was no way I could take the body up on deck to throw it over the side. That's precisely where all the crewmen were gathered for the evacuation drill. So before the first-class cabin sentries returned, I took the corpse to the refrigeration room.
And then on arriving in Dover, you concealed the body in your trunk in order to smuggle it past the border police.
I knew I needed to take steps if the police were to be convinced when the body was found in London.
In that case, you must have known. You must have had intimate details of Inspector Gregson's intended schedule.
Yes, my British counterpart sent me everything I needed to know. The inspector was due at Fresno Street at 5 o'clock that afternoon, in order to meet a man by the name of Hugh Boone, from whom he would take back to his police identification. I decided the man would be the perfect person to set up as the culprit, so I took a hackney carriage over there with the body still in my trunk.
That must have been just after we took this photograph with you at the hotel then.
Yes, I wasn't expecting a welcoming committee. I was more than a little nervous. On Fresno Street, I spotted a young girl selling little firecrackers.
Miss Venus, of course.
I conceived of the candle trick there and then, so I donned a simple disguise and approached the girl to buy enough firecrackers to replicate a gunshot.
What sort of disguise?
For some reason, the inspector had a bright red hairpiece from his own traveling case, so I put that on, although I suspected I drew more attention to myself in that than I would have otherwise.
The hairpiece we found at the scene, the inspector had it ready for the Red Hair League investigation.
I only arrived in that room at around 4:45, so I quickly placed the body on the floor, moved the notice board, and set up my little candle trick. I arranged it so the firecrackers would go off with a bang around 15 minutes later. So that Mr. Boone, who was due to arrive at 5, would walk straight into a trap? Except, at the last moment, I made a careless blunder.
What was that?
I imagine it was the bag of fish and chips.
I didn't notice it had fallen out of his overcoat pocket when I moved the body to the refrigeration room. I put it back in his pocket the following morning, but... well, it seems the warmth of the heated cabinet accelerated the decay of the fish. Anyway, that's everything. All the sordid details of what I did.
And we've gone on long enough past our scheduled 30 minutes, so I will end the episode here, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching.